This is Success Beyond the Score, giving insights and tips to help you learn how to build your music career from the best in the field by Millicent Stephenson. Millicent is a multi-award winning saxophonist and endorser of Harry Hartman's Fiber Reeds. She is currently serving on the Executive Committee of the Musicians Union. With over 40 years experience in the creative industry, Millicent has honed her performance and business skills. She provides personal development training and coaching via her online platform, successbeyondthescore.com.
Hi, I'm Millicent Stephenson, and I'm happy to welcome you back to my podcast, Success Beyond the Score. Now, just before I kick off, I want to let you know I have a new gift just for you. It's called 10 Reasons Why They Will Pay You Before Gig Day. This is a snappy list of 10 things which will help you to understand what music promoters are checking to decide if they will pay you in advance. Now, knowing these things will help you to level up your game and put things in place to make it possible to get paid before you hit the stage. Now, to get this, you need to go over to my website, www.successbeyondthescore.com/get paid before gig day. And the link can be found in the description. So today, I'm wondering, are you familiar with those gossip magazine covers that announce things like, the royal family caught grocery shopping, or check this picture of a famous musician air drying their laundry, you won't believe it? You know what? These stem from the ideal of the celebrity. That notion that famous people live a life of applause, lights, and luxury and have nothing to do with the mundane. But is that really how it is? In today's episode, I talk with Tony Bean. He's the CEO and founder of 5am Records, an international artist, developer, songwriter, and record producer. I talk with Abigail Kelly, an award-winning international operatic soprano and ambassador for the National Touring Opera. Also, Anna Brooks, international touring saxophonist, recording artist, arranger, and director. Dan Whitehouse, an acclaimed composer, songwriter currently signed with Reveal Records. And Ruby Turner, MBE, who is a singer-songwriter, US R&B #1 chart hit, and actress. Now, they're going to give you their take on Glitz, Glamour, and the Monday morning musician. Now, just before we get cracking, you might notice a difference between the sound quality of the introduction and the recordings. And that's because we've done this through Zoom due to COVID-19, lockdown, and easing. But the content is stellar. Here we go. I'm obviously stage performer, so people see me on stage or they see other people on stage, and there's this like persona they attribute to you. And if they ever see me off stage when I'm not on stage, dressed well, even like this, people are like, where's the hair gone, and where's the nails gone, where's the lashes gone, and they expect this kind of thing. But we're just human, aren't we? We're just a normal. I would say to people, I'm still Millicent. You know, people who know me, I am Millicent. That's it. I'm not that person on with the that's my job. You know, that's my job. This is me.
Exactly. And you have a normal life.
Yes.
You're not always on stage. You cannot always be on stage. You cannot always be the performer at home.
Yes.
You don't walk around dressed up in your makeup with a saxophone. you are a mom, you're a wife, you're a sister, you're a daughter. You have to be all of those things, just like everybody else does.
Exactly.
But I think people, because they get a glimpse of your persona on stage, that's what they see you as forever and a day.
Yes, that's right.
I think that's the danger, yeah.
I mean, and here's another thing in terms of you. I mean, you've worked with Kelly Rowland, you've worked with Usher, you've mentioned Kenny Thomas, and all. You know, you've worked with Warner, Polydor, all these big names, but. What about the mundane? You know, once you've done a studio work with Kelly, or even maybe she's talked to Beyonce and you might say, hi, Beyonce, to the video thing. And then you go home to your wife and then it's a mundane. You know, there's the dishes to wash, the bin to put out, the bathroom that needs fixing. How do you balance the mundane?
You know what? I always say to people, when the one leveler I have and I've always had is my wife, because from day one, she has never been impressed by me. I have seen, it's absolutely fantastic. And a lot of people would think, oh, your wife's your biggest fan. I'm like, no. I can come home and say, guess what I met today? Stevie Wonder. And she'd be like, really? Oh, that's nice. Did you hear what I just said?
Yeah.
Or do you know who I just worked with today? It's like, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's not, and even when we first started in the industry, there were certain things she'd come to. So we'd have parties down at Polydor, and she'd go, oh, who's that over there? Is that Kylie? Oh, okay. Oh, who's that? Is she on the same label as you as well?
Yeah.
Oh, is that Misha Paris?
Yeah.
Oh.
Down to earth, yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
I'm not. Yeah, it's okay. They're just people. So she's a great leveler.
Yeah.
So nothing I've ever done has been this great big, oh my gosh, yeah, that's brilliant. So it just levels me. I come home and it's like, yeah, it's just Tony.
Yeah.
Whatever he's done.
Well, I think that's kind of good because, you know, it helps to bring you back down to earth in a sense, doesn't it? Because if you came home to a home environment where it's like, who did you work with today? And what did you do in that? You'd still be up high in the clouds. When do you come down?
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know if that's when the drugs thing might kick in for some people because you need to be able to sleep and to wake up, which some artists do, innit? They take a drug to wake up and a drug to sleep. But, you know, so I think it's a good thing. I mean, I don't know if you, but
it's a grip on. I think it's a grip on reality. It's a grip on reality to have somebody that is not impressed with you. And to be honest with you, I thought bringing her into it when I first started it, when I first started working professionally and bringing her down to London and her seeing certain things was going to be. I think the only thing she's enjoyed is that sometimes I'll say, oh, I've got tickets for this, so we can go and see somebody or meet somebody, and that will be. You know, oh, yeah, that's nice, that's great. But it's I think it's a great leveler that like you say, to actually have somebody that's going to give you that whole cheerleader thing all the time, you lose a grip on reality. And I think that's the problem. When you have a cheerleader that's there all the time, you're just going to lose a grip on reality.
Yeah.
You're not going to be, you would be the Millicent on stage all the time.
Exactly.
That Millicent walking around with your saxophone and everybody's going to go, oh my gosh, Millie, you're so great.
Yeah.
You're going to be home like that as well.
It's true. And I have to admit, when I do meet the odd fan or two on the street or wherever and they start fawning, I just feel like, I just want to get home right now. You know, I like normality. That's my job. You know, go for the stage. Sorry, fans, but that's the real me. I just like, let's be normal. Well, you mentioned touring because I know you've gone to Johannesburg, you've been to the Cayman Islands, you've been to Germany, you've been to all sorts of places doing all sorts of wonderful stuff. But how does it feel when you get off the plane, you're returning home, get off that plane, you get in a train, a coach, wherever, you get back to the West Midlands or wherever your home is for that time, and you turn the key and you get home. How does it feel to get back to the mundane? You know, washing up those dishes and doing your laundry and going shopping. I mean, what? Because of course you've been on a stage with everybody applauding you. Abigail, you're wonderful.
See, the thing is the mundane never stops. That's the trick of the whole. It's the great. I call it the great con. That my operatic life and my touring life and all of that to the outside world looking in must seem really glamorous. It is not glamorous at all. Oh my goodness. Some of the dressing rooms that I have been in, I just go, oh my gosh, I have no mirror. How am I going to do my makeup? What am I going to wear the lights? What is it? You know, it's the mundane is a continuous thing that follows you no matter if you are in Johannesburg. And sometimes, you know, I remember the gig I did in Johannesburg actually was one of the more glamorous things I did. It was lovely. It was quite something. I stayed. So I was invited to Johannesburg to perform with Opera South Africa, and I was invited by the Jamaican consulate over there, and I was put up with the Jamaican diplomat of Johannesburg. So I stayed in her lovely. Diplomats get real nice houses. They get put up in some fancy places when they live in certain countries. So I stayed with her in Pretoria, and it was just like a really lovely house. She had a personal trainer who'd come over, so I was like, well, fine, I'm here, I might as well do, there was a little swimming pool and all of that sort of stuff. And that's all great and wonderful and fantastic, but still, there are gigs that are nowhere near as glamorous as that at all.
What's the worst? What's the worst that you've had? What's the worst?
I can't think. There have definitely been, like I said about dressing rooms, there have definitely been dressing rooms where there are either no mirrors, which when you're supposed to go on stage and do a full face and all of that sort of stuff is a little bit there's nowhere to put your makeup or anything. There's just you've got your makeup balanced on your knees and just sort of like trying to do something in a bathroom. The amount of toilet cubicles that I've had to change into a full dressing, big old ball gown, changing, and this woman comes out of this, she's like looking you up and down like you're mad, and you're like just wandering around in a big old ball dress. Yeah, but those are I love the juxtaposition of that though, because the idea, and I do it too, I watch people who are working at the Met, and I watch people who are at the Scala, and I go, oh my God, they must lead such glamorous lives. And I know fully well that they probably don't, because I don't, but I mean, it's a whole different level, but I don't. And the funny, crazy stuff that happens behind the scenes. And I think that keeps me grounded as well. The gigs they are not necessarily glamorous, but they are so fun, are things where you are putting on an opera in an outdoor tent in the middle of a field, and you've got porty cabins, and your dressing room is just a tent on the other side of the field, and there's no electricity and stuff like that. Is wonderful because it's just so fun and it's so character building as well.
So you're in your wellies and a ball gown then, is that what it is?
Oh yeah, me and my wellies in a ball gown. I love that kind of thing. I just think it's so fun, and I think it's so down to earth. And if people could see that side of the operatic world, they'd go, yeah, this is actually, this is quite something else. This is quite fun. There's a combination. Some glamorous, some not so glamorous. Yeah,
I think my in terms of dressing rooms, I was doing a wedding in a wedding event, so a wedding location in the south of England. So it's just a very small, sort of very nice, everything that you need there. But I had to change in a cupboard, and there was chairs and tables, no mirror, no lighting. My husband had to stand by the door so no one would come in. And I'm there squeezing into my dress and fixing up. It was crazy. I think I took a picture of it. I meant to do a blog or a post on it. It's somewhere in the camera, but it was absolutely, we had to make space in the cupboard. There were chairs stacked this high and that's tables. Brilliant. And
that's brilliant.
But the location was fantastic, but I had to change it.
Yeah, this is the thing. I did one of the in-person things I did this year, which was so cool. I performed inside Birmingham Museum and Art Gallery, some arias, operatic arias, and I had this wedding dress on, and it was all kind of cute, and inside the gallery itself, and it was just like, I'm singing in the gallery and it's lovely. And then I went to go and get out of my costume, and it's just a little cupboard with all sorts of items everywhere, and you're sort of trying to take everything off, like, it's not always as glamorous as it seems to be.
Have you ever had to go on stage but feeling a little frazzled because you've had to deal with the family, and there's your audience of 1,000 odd people waiting for your first, second, third note? Have you ever and how do you cope with that?
I think the moment you set foot on stage, well, for me, I enter it's a different world. It's not a different me. It's still me, but it's I always describe it as my stage persona, because you know, when you're doing the mundane things in life, when you're doing the grocery shopping, and if you're on the road and you're sort of remotely parenting, you have to be able to kind of switch off and become that other part of you, the more creative, the more outgoing, the more exciting version of yourself, if you like. And I'm just very used to I can automatically shift into that mode the moment I walk on stage. And whatever I'm involved in, if I'm touring with the Brooklyn Funk Essentials, for example, the energy that you get from the audience helps you to focus. And I don't know, it's just like flicking a switch, just going into performance mode, and you can leave those things behind while you're on stage. I mean, don't get me wrong, the moment I'm in the dressing room afterwards, if there is something going on, or, you know, or you're feeling that kind of frazzle, then I'll be checking my phone straight away. But for that time that you're on stage, it kind of allows you to step into a different world. And I think that's the thing that I love so much about music. You know, music it's non-verbal communication. For me, it's always been like a kind of therapy. And the more that may be going on elsewhere, whatever chaos is happening, or whatever family, you know, situations, or whatever, as soon as I pick up my saxophone and I start playing, all my frustration or all my whatever it might be, that goes straight down the saxophone, and I feel fantastic afterwards. It literally, if I don't play for a week, for example, I feel like something's wrong. I feel like something's kind of missing. And as soon as I get my sax out and I play, I always say that is my therapy. That's my, you know, I tell my story down the saxophone when I play. You know, it's not always been an easy ride for me over the last sort of 20 years or so. And the poor saxophone just bears the brunt of it, basically. I just pick up the sax and that's it. And then it's really therapeutic. I've had plenty of situations where I've been, for example, as a female musical director, where I've turned up and I'm in charge of, a 7-piece band and maybe 8 singers, and I've turned up at a theatre show, and, you know, someone will say to me, "Oh, are you one of the singers?" Or, you know, and no, I'm a musical director. And and, you know, it's still, as I say, it's getting better, but you do see surprised faces. And I think I used to put my more feminine side to one side, and, you know, even in the way that I dressed, because I felt like, this is, you know, we're going back to maybe 10-15 years, I felt like I had to be this very sort of strong person, because of what I was doing, and because there was often the assumption that, she's in that band because she looks a certain way, wait till you hear her play the saxophone, it's going to be rubbish. But then
I know that
it isn't. And then you see, oh, actually, and so many times I've heard, you know, actually you can play. But I think I felt like I had to be sort of very strong and maybe be more manlike. Just because of, you know, maybe the nature of the business and the work that I was doing. I always felt like I had to prove myself, you know, I always felt like I had to really prove myself. And at some point I thought, I think the older you get, the less you care about what other people think about you, which is hallelujah for that, by the way. That's the great thing about getting older. But I think these days I'm more able to be my more feminine self, and not feel like I have to prove myself so much, because I know that people at some point will find out, oh yes, actually she really can play the saxophone and she really does know what she's doing. Then she's not there to be the token female, you know. But yeah, I would love to see more women out there.
So listen, you do house concerts, you're signed to a label, you're doing all the things you do, which sounds really, really glamorous. But do you ever feel like, okay, now it's back to the mundane, I've got to go do my shopping and my laundry? Do you find that to be a thing for you, or is everything just life?
everything's just mundane. It doesn't feel very glamorous. I mean, maybe when the way you describe it, it's a bit nicer, but I don't know. I've always driven, apart from the early days that I talked about with Naomi, you know, it's very, very much a sort of DIY level. I'm driving myself to my shows.
Yeah.
You know, it's a self-employed life, and no different to, you know, the mobile hairdresser or the window cleaner or anybody else that's trying to earn a living and visiting different clients. And
yeah,
that's how I see it.
Yeah, I see it very much the same way. But don't you feel that people see you differently? Your audience see you differently, or your
hopefully
students?
I don't want to buy a ticket to see my window cleaner sing.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a necessary veil, you know. It's smoke and mirrors and rock and roll, isn't it? We need a bit of that, and that's exciting. And I try and indulge in that as much as I can. You know, I get my hair cut sometimes, buy new clothes, things like that.
Yeah.
I try and express myself fully in the artwork and the videos that I share of that represent my music.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. I mean, I enjoy those things. You know, it's exciting and fun to make those things as beautiful as you can.
There's something I really like about you. You know, obviously I'm on your Twitter and your Facebook, and I just kind of follow you and see what you're going on with. But
thank you. Thank you for having me, Millicent, and for following and minding my business. I watch my business.
Oh yeah.
Facebook, as my dad used to call it. We on Facebook.
Yes. Well, you know, the thing is, when I went over to your website and I was reading up on your bio, and I'm thinking, wow, she's amazing. You know, it's like one of the things, I mean, even before I go into the questions I have planned, is like, for me, you are a celebrity, but very understated.
Oh, goodness me.
You're acclaimed, but approachable. There's no airs and graces. And I really want to know, how do you manage to balance all of this with who you are and what you do? I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I won't, let me just stop talking.
The thing is, first of all, the celebrity thing, you know, you can discard that. And I think for me, because it's another thing. For me, that's another thing. It's got nothing, as far as I'm concerned, got nothing to do with the music, the work I've been doing over the years. You know, I'm just a musician. I love what I do. I don't do it for the glory. I do it for the blessings I've been given and sharing. And then you have that celebrity culture thing that came in. Sort of, well, it's always kind of been there. And people caught it because in a way it helps to expand and shoot you even further than, you know, you need to go, you want to go. And at the same time, I also can find it very destructive. I find it gets in the way. I find you stop being, you say, how do you, able to retain yourself? It's that thing, it's that very reason. If you stay out of that culture thing that drives you to want more, to be more than you are, or not even be yourself, then I think it becomes a problem. And for me, I made that sort of conscious decision really to steer myself away from that. I don't think I need to be everywhere in terms of, you know, being seen. I'll be seen when I'm working. I'll be seen when there's something good going on. But apart from that, you know, that's about it really. And so I'm also careful about things. We talk about Facebook, what you put on there. If it's work related or stuff like that, fine. If it's something about who you are, and so people ask, they want to know who you are. And so what I tend to do, which I think is only fair, and deep down I do think, well, you know what, people think you are this celebrity thing, and I kind of dismiss that by putting flowers up and the garden and stuff like that.
I've noticed the garden.
Like, the garden and what's going on in there, and I want them to know the real human being, the real person who cares about other things other than the hair, the makeup, the da. And I can't handle that. I never could.
So there's something about getting older and getting experience and stuff that's made you sort of realize that actually to be me is more important than being someone else for my business to succeed.
Yes, I think so, because as the years have gone on, things tried and tested, some fail, some did. And then in the end, does it really matter? What matters is that you're happy. What matters is that you can wake up and you don't have to put on this fake false thing and be, you need to maintain this thing. Not only do you dress it, you need to live it.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important. But I'm not saying what happened there was wrong. It was just the business. That's a part of the business. So I'm not knocking it. It's a part of the business. But when you come to a point where you've done all you've done, you can stand, then own it. Take ownership of your life. It's important. Yeah.
I mean, you're a woman after my own heart. I mean, outside of the stage, I am me, and I'm not wearing the wig and the nails and all that kind of stuff. That's work.
Fling it off.
And I have people.
Fling it off when you need to.
Oh gosh! As soon as you get in the car.
Oh, that's better. That's showbiz. That's a bit of showbiz, and everybody does it. Black, white, pink, green. It's just what it is. When we're home, we're just home. But you need to have that balance.
Yes,
it is so important.
Most definitely.
The stage thing is a stage thing, but you need to be able to come home and turn on that pot.
Yes.
And turn and be. There's things to do here. There's things to do. It's important for me.
And I guess you're kind of answering my question, which I had about the mundane, because you're someone who's worked with Brian Ferry and UB40. So you're on the big platforms, as well as, the Ronnie Scott stages and so on. And then you've got to come home, So it seems to me like you've got this balance, or do you find that sometimes returning to the mundane is difficult, especially say if you're abroad, because you do travel?
Well, obviously, when you got back, you have to climatize yourself again, because it's a re-entry, like, whoa, where you've been looked after, and you plane hopping country to country, you live in hotels. I mean, this pandemic's been really quite interesting, because for the past 18 months or so, I've been here. And, I was fortunate enough to have worked up until the lockdown, more or less, to a year back.
Right.
We just got back from Europe. I was touring with Jules.
Yeah.
And we got back from Austria just as on the 13th of March. And a week or so later, the lockdown happened. So in a funny kind of way, but saying that, going back, I'd come off a 3-month tour.
Yeah.
So I the rest that I had, that sort of stopped, sort of benefited somebody like myself that needed to stop for a little while. But we thought it was only for a little while.
Yeah.
And then, here we are. But, it was, when you come home from work, it's you have to adjust yourself again. You need to, but it doesn't take long. It doesn't take long before you fall in, because, I do everything myself. That washing machine is on full power for however long, you know what I mean? Because it's just the way it is. I carry more than I need on tour because I'm coming home to wash it all. And you got to deal with the bills, and you got to deal with stuff. There's stuff going on, so, when the cleaners come in, have to be paid or whatever. So you got to do, and that's all right. It keeps you grounded. I still live in the real world, girl.
Okay.
I'm in the real world. Trust me. Yeah.
Wow. That was another fantastic session. I certainly learned a few things too. And I hope you found nuggets there to help you with your music development. By the way, don't forget to download my list of 10 reasons why promoters will pay you before gig day. You can get this from my website, www.successbeyondthescore.com/get paid before gig day. The link is in the description. See you next time.